Unfortunately, when we're in session, they don't get as much information from the ordinary citizens of Illinois as they should. And they put themselves into a vacuum. That's corrected once we end session and they go back into their districts and spend a lot of time with the ordinary citizens, not the paid lobbyists around the Capitol building.
Now, over the last several decades, there's been a significant shift in the legislature, primarily for two reasons. The U.S. Supreme Court decision in Baker versus Carr, which basically said legislative districts have to be of roughly equivalent population. And also, the population growth in our state has been largely in the Chicago metropolitan area, and even more specifically in the suburbs. There are people in our part of the state, in southern Illinois, who feel like they've really lost some power here. This really goes to the question, do legislators from southern Illinois have power? And even in a broader sense, do rank and file members at all have power, or do the leaders have it all?
I think I heard a three-part question.
Okay.
So part one, numerically, southern Illinois has lost representation in the legislature. We saw that when we were working on redistricting a few years ago and we were getting the reports from the Census Bureau, which clearly showed that, relatively speaking, there had been a loss of population from southern Illinois, not to Chicago, but to the suburban areas around Cook County, places like DuPage County, Will County, and Lake County. So there has been a population shift. Does that mean that southern Illinois becomes a net loser because of that? I would say no. I would say no because the legislators from southern Illinois that come up to the Capitol building in Springfield are very skilled legislators. They're all full-time Democrats and Republicans. They're very dedicated. They're very knowledgeable concerning the legislative process. They're very adept at working with other people. And as I said, they're very skilled. So the quality of representation being given to the people of southern Illinois by both Democrat and Republican legislators is above the norm. And they're getting a good job from all of these people that they send up to the Capitol. Lastly, have the ordinary members become irrelevant? Speaking for myself, no, because I get my speaker's job through vote of my colleagues. I don't become the speaker because someone issues an edict. I become the speaker because there are at least 60 members of the House, generally Democrats, who vote for me to be the speaker. If I had completely disenfranchised those people, there would have been an opponent to me for the office of Speaker, and I would have lost. The truth is that I work real hard with my members. I work real hard to bring everybody together, to make sure that Democrats and Republicans in the House feel that they're all part of the process. And I think the fact that I've been reelected so many times speaks to my ability to include everybody in decision-making in the House of Representatives.
Now, in 1983, Governor Thompson convened the four leaders, and that really set the stage for almost an annual rite, if you will, towards the end of the session, where the governor and the four leaders work out some, or try to work out at least, some of the unresolved major issues.
Right.
Now, it's not unusual for a rank and file member to go back to a district and, if there's some criticism or unhappiness, to say, well, I didn't know what was involved here. The leaders and the governor did all this. What's your reaction to that?
That individual member ought to spend more time, as I do, learning and following the issues and interacting with me and with other members. There's really no excuse for a member of the legislature to say they didn't know what was going on, because they're there in the Capitol building. Everything that they're talking about is subjected to a record vote. A bill is called, there's a presentation of the bill, there's debate, and then people record themselves yes or no. There's ample opportunity for members of the legislature and the public to know the content of legislation, to know the considerations that go into negotiations. Because when I'm in negotiations with the governor and the other leaders about issues and matters such as the budget, I routinely report back to my members. I'll call a Democratic caucus and I'll sit in the caucus and explain, this is where the negotiations are. This is my position, this is the position of the others. I'll venture a prediction as to where the negotiations will end. And we open that to discussion. It's not that I simply go in there and issue an edict. We go in, I'll make a presentation, and then we'll say to all of our members, well, tell us how you feel about this, because that's what's going to guide what we do in these negotiations. Always remember, you're working with people brought to a forum where, by rule, the forum is divided into two groups, political party groups. Therefore, just by design and by rule, there's going to be contention. There's going to be disagreement. There's going to be winners. There's going to be losers. And it's unfortunate that some people are sore losers because they could be dignified losers and just explain, well, my position lost out in the negotiations, but I'm going to go back and I'm going to work to try and correct that in the future. Let me just do an historical reference. Abe Lincoln was a member of the Illinois legislature when the legislature met in, I believe, Vandalia.
Right.
Okay. In one term of the General Assembly, he and others went to Vandalia to try and move the capital to Springfield, and they failed. But they came back the next time, and having learned better negotiating and log rolling skills, they successfully moved the capital to Springfield. So, I mean, that's a good historical reference in terms of people that are not 100% happy with the result that comes out of a legislative session.
Now, obviously, you've been Speaker as a 19 out of the last 21 years. You enjoy your job. You get fulfillment out of it. What keeps you there? Is it the power, the exercise of power? What are the kind of factors that keep you there and motivate you every day? Yeah.
I like my job. I like to go to my job because my job is government and politics, and that's what I've done now for 34 years. That's what I wanted to do when I was a very young person in law school. And for me, the ability to work at this level in government and politics is a fulfillment of a dream. This is what I always wanted to do. Now I have this opportunity to do it, and to the best of my ability, for as long as I can do it, that's what I'm going to do. Not everything is peaches and cream in my job, okay? There are difficult moments. There are some personalities that are difficult to work with, but it's a job like any job. There's good and there's bad, and you do trade-offs. And so if you want to have a sense of fulfillment because you're able to interact at the highest levels of Illinois government on the most important issues, you have to do some trade-offs. You have to spend time with some personalities that don't make it easy to spend time with them. You have to spend time with people that aren't happy about the result of some particular issue, but you experience the same thing.
Right. Now, you're proud of your daughter, Lisa Madigan, who is the Attorney General of Illinois, elected in 2002. Is there are many observers who believe she's doing an excellent job and really has a bright future, perhaps to run for higher office. At what point, if any, will there be a conflict between your continuing as Speaker and your daughter trying to rise in the ranks or even achieving that goal?
Right. Before I answer your question, let me go back and say that I'm very proud of my entire family. Right. My wife Shirley, who's the chair of the Illinois Arts Council, our three other children, Tiffany, Nicole, and Andrew. And do I foresee a conflict with my daughter Lisa as the Attorney General? That was an issue that was raised in the campaign. It was raised by the opponents, both in the primary and the general election. I think the best guide that we can follow is to look at her performance in office over the last year and 4 or 5 months, where there have been issues that have arisen And Lisa has not failed in her duty as the Attorney General because of a conflict with me. One area where she has taken a very strong position concerns the casino in Rosemont. So all of that is happening because of legislation which was considered in the legislature. I voted yes for the bill. She voted no against the bill, and now she's taking action as Attorney General, which is not helpful to the location of a casino in Rosemont. So right there is a difference of opinion between her and I, but it apparently has not, impeded her ability to act in the best interest of the people of the state of Illinois as the Attorney General. There's another issue which may not be known in southern Illinois, but there's a question today on the residency of one of the representatives in the House of Representatives, and the matter has been referred over to the Office of Attorney General. Lisa and I will not talk about that issue because there is the potential for a conflict. My expectation is that she will deal with that issue in such a way that she will not be concerned with my position or whether there'd be a conflict with me.
Okay. Unfortunately, we've run out of time. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for joining us, and thanks to all of you for joining us.
A VHS copy of today's program is available by sending a check or money order for $19.95 to WSIU TV. Please include the date of broadcast.